to grow mentally and spiritually. Like the way they approach things is been proven to be great for our kids, and the way our family also thinks. The classes are small. They focus a lot on exploration, but also on independence, but also guide them towards finding, the results, or going towards objectives. So I think that's also pretty nice.
Hi, I'm Danielle, and I'm from Our Kids. I just spoke with Claudia, the parent of 2 children who attend the Dalton School. Listen to Claudia discuss her experience with the staff and administration, opportunities for parent involvement, and how her children have responded to learning the Mandarin language. Can you tell me a little bit more about Mateus and Ava? What are they like? What are their likes and dislikes?
Oh, our background is Latin American, so they're very lively kids. They love to speak. They love to communicate. Eva is very much into baking, and she loves everything that has to do with that part of life in that sense. And Matthias is very well. He's a boy, so he's very energetic. He loves building Lego. He loves being very independent and having that space to also create. Same as Eva. So they both have their own weaknesses and strengths, and they're both great kids.
And what are Mateus and Ava's learning styles? How do they learn best in a school environment?
Matthias is less focused on being on the books. Like he learns more by observing. So we've noticed that with him. Eva is the opposite. She loves the books. Like she loves to read. She loves to be involved in a structure. She likes to, check marks and say, okay, I did this. Matthias doesn't do that. He just goes about what the things he has to do, but he doesn't necessarily follow a pattern.
And can you explain the process that you took to choose the Dalton School for your children? Were you considering other options? And if so, why did you choose this one ultimately?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Like it's funny that we're doing this with you guys, because my first approach, or the first time that I was exposed to private schools in Canada, was through our school expo back in 2012. So I attended the expo that was in the Roy Thompson Hall, and I was exposed to all the schools pretty much, like Havergal, Branksome, the Dalton. The Dalton, I think it was the first time that they were attending the expo. They were a very young school, and we felt it was a lot for us. Eva was 2.5 back then. The other schools seemed great too, but they were bigger schools as well. So we were coming from the Dominican Republic. She was going to a school there too, a small pre-K school. And it was a very family-oriented, a tight community. So when we got in touch with Dalton at the expo, we were able to set an appointment to go check the school. We talked to the principal, that was Donna, and to Kim, who was the founder. And we looked around and saw how the teachers were involved with the kids, how they were learning. We saw there was a lot of exploration and independence, but at the same time, there was some guidance. And our first approach was not because of the Mandarin, but when we saw that there was another option, we thought, why not? They speak Spanish, or they will speak Spanish because we speak Spanish. They will learn English, of course, and then they'll have a third language that we thought was great. So all those things together just helped us make the decision easier.
And what was the application process like?
Oh, it was very easy. It was very straightforward. We submitted the documents, presented everything that they were asking from us, and it just happened. Again, it was a small school back then, smaller than today. So it was pretty straightforward. Even when Matthias joined, that was 3 years after, it was still very easy. We didn't have to go through an interview back then, because with him, because we had already been part of the school for some time. So it was pretty much the way to go.
And how have your children responded to being at the Dalton School? Has it been an overall positive or negative experience for them?
Super positive. They love it. The first time that when Eva was there, she was the first one. She was 4 at the time, and it was just amazing for us that, coming from another country, having to get into another school, although she had already been in a pre-K previously for 6 months before getting into the Dalton, but she clicked immediately with the teachers, with the environment. She was always looking forward to go back to school every day, even today, and after this pandemic especially. They both said like, we miss the school, we miss our kids, our friends, we miss the teachers. And it's been positive. We don't have any regrets in that regard. So as long as they're happy and we see that they're evolving and learning, we're very happy with the decision.
Do you feel like the school does a good job of adapting to your children's individual learning styles?
Yes, for sure. As I mentioned, they both have very different styles for learning, and I think the way the teacher gets involved with learning for both of them has been very positive. I don't see Matthias being behind in any way that or ever. I think they're both going at the level they need to go. Whenever we've had an issue, maybe Matthias uh, took a little bit more time to develop a better reading than Eva, but now he's doing great. But the teachers got involved, and we've been also communicating constantly, and everything has been working great in that regard too.
Have you noticed a difference or improvement in your children's personal development and growth that you can kind of attribute as a result of them attending the Dalton School?
Yes, I think not only like the possibility of having that third language. I think Mandarin does something to your brain. Like, I mean, we have maybe when we speak English or Spanish, we have a certain side of our brain that works in a certain way. But with Mandarin, I do feel that's helped them be more creative in a way. Both of them, they're very good at artistic tasks. They like to draw and they are good at it. They have a good structure of what they do, of how they do things. um, I also believe I had something else in my mind, and I'm so sorry because it was something that I had before. But they have adapted so well, and I noticed that with the pandemic, for example, they had to go immediately into online classes after March break. Both of them responded with lots of independence and lots of responsibility on the tasks that were assigned. Like, there was some structure, and I do believe that some of the values that the school has in terms of discipline and responsibility and respect, all those things together have helped them be at the level they are today. So I was not concerned at all at how they were responding to all this new situation. It was really, really cool to see.
And if you can name one thing that you think Ava and Mateus individually liked the most about their school experience so far, what do you think they would say?
Oh my God, that's a hard one. This one thing, I think it's the environment in general. They are happy there. They love it. It's just very nurturing. And I think it's the way they connect. I think they have there what they have at home. We're very nurturing too. We're very, like, focused on them, and they see that they are being paid. The people are paying attention to them and to their needs, so they feel comfortable there to grow in a confident way.
And as a parent, what is one thing that you personally appreciate and like the most about the Dalton School?
I think it's that same thing, that they definitely, their values and our values align. As I mentioned, we value a lot the respect, discipline, and I love the fact that I can trust that what we are instilling in them in our house, in our home, is also being instilled there. So that continuity of values is super important to us.
Was there anything that you found surprising about your experience at the Dalton School? Something that you maybe didn't know about the private school experience until you were kind of thrown into the situation?
Not really. For us, there were many new things when we came to Canada. So it was more like adapting to a different style. In our countries, let's say, for example, homework after school is like intense. Like, you go back to home at 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. and you have a bunch of things to do. Here, I've noticed is more, they do homework at school, they have some homework at home, so they have some responsibility in that regard, but they're more free to really absorb the information without having to be on a task every single minute of the day. So I don't think that was just a matter of the Dalton. I think is the school system in Canada as in general, right?
Was there ever an assignment or project or a highlight that stands out to you that you were specifically proud of with your children? Can you maybe share a memory? that you remember?
Yeah, there are many little things and many. One specifically during the pandemic, Eva had to work on a project about plants, like which plant grow better under what light. So I was very involved, and my husband as well in the project. So we worked together with her, and the teachers were also helping on their side to create the plan, a hypothesis, like everything that had to do with that. So she had to come out with this beautiful board that she also created, and seeing her explain how it all worked was just amazing. You know, like she's 11, she was 10 at the time, like about it was this year. That that showed me how well she's being prepared, and I'm really really happy with that. They also had this other project in which they had to show their talent. So Matthias was super expressive at showing how he could build Lego, like different things in Lego, not what you're being told to build, but something he created on his own. So we made a video, he sent the video, and it was just amazing to see how much he was so independent and so good at just expressing himself. So it's been really really nice. There are many other little things with the school itself, like field trips and things that we've been part of, um, conferences they've done, the involvement of the parents and many of the parent meetings that we cannot do anymore because of COVID. But again, it's been very positive.
What are the opportunities for parent involvement that are available?
Well, right now, again, since there's not much to be done in terms of like meeting with all the parents personally, but there is a parent representative, so that person also gets in touch with everyone. It's like the connection between parents, and then you are able to do some gatherings. So the new parents who arrive to school, they know what to expect, who the other parents are. We're still a smaller school compared to other private schools, so you still have that space to really like mingle and talk. Then they also had, now that the school is bigger, then they're trying to, before the pandemic, we're trying to see if different parents from different level, like the different classes will gather with the parents of those classes, just again to mingle and to socialize and be able to get together and meet each other. So that's pretty good. And again, always they've always been very open to communication, so parents can actually have their voices heard. If there is any issue or anything that needs to be said or done, we're able to talk to the staff and the principal, even the founder, and just yeah, get things going.
Do you feel like there's a good sense of community between parents and parents? Like the values and goals are aligned between the parents?
Yes, I think so. I think it has to do, ever since we started at school, we felt that. We felt the Thai community, we felt connection. Again, the school has grown, so it's hard to really be able to see everyone or talk to everyone. But as I will speak for the parents that I now have with our classes, for Eva and Matthias, we share the same, like I feel we share the same values in general. Like it's those, you know, that part of respect, involvement and discipline, and other things that allow you to really make sure that your kids are really being aligned as well under the same umbrella.
What is the relationship like between parents and the staff and administration? You mentioned that there's a communication, so I assume there's an open door policy, but can you explain a little bit more about what your experience has been like with the staff?
Yes, yeah, sure. Ever since we started going to the Dalton, we've always been able to talk to any of them, the teachers, Donna. Now there's a new principal. At the very beginning, the founder was very involved. She's still involved, but of course, since it's grown, you have to give way to other people to make part of the school, because it's hard to just manage everything yourself. But we still have the possibility to either send an email, make a phone call, even if it's in person. You ask them, and they're never unavailable. They're always available. They're always listening. And maybe I had a couple of times in which I had to express a discomfort for whatever. Matthias maybe did something, and the way it was handled, I thought it was not correct. I met with them. They talked with me. They assured that everything was working well. Matthias got, to me, and he was happy about it. So having that, like, life is not perfect, no institution is perfect, no person is perfect. So but as long as you have communication and you're able to work things out, everything is great. And they've been great with in that sense.
What about the relationship between students and students? Do you feel like it's inclusive and welcoming and that they foster an environment where you can have long lasting friendships?
Yes, absolutely. They do. And I also feel the school is as inclusive as Toronto, right? Like you have different nationalities. You can have Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Colombian, Dominican. My husband is Dominican, Indian. Like it's just amazing to see all this mix of nationalities and the kids getting along. Again, it's not perfect. You know, can have a certain attitude towards other, but the way the school has also handled, even if there's a lack of communication or a problem between the kids, is just great. They really foster communication between them, and they try to help them analyze the situation on how to solve the problem without creating another problem. So that for us is really valuable.
Do you feel like they have a good amount of extracurricular opportunities available for the students?
I think they could have more, but I also think being a small school and a newer school, that's something that will continue to evolve over time. They have done a quite a good job at including newer subjects in the curriculum. So now they're doing taekwondo, for example. I think that goes really well in the sense of discipline and body movement and strength. So I really love it. Ice skating, they've included it as well. They had cross country running club last year. This year they haven't been able to do it, and they have additional activities after school that again now because of COVID is that's not possible to be done. But I do feel they're always trying to see how they can accommodate, and even though they have a smaller campus, they can at least provide other activities. There's also piano, chess, so that's pretty good.
What are the class sizes like? Are they on the smaller or larger side?
No, smaller. They're smaller. Specifically, the higher grades now, because it was so new. Eva is now grade 6. That's much smaller than the lower grades. But Matthias is in grade 3, and there are about 10 kids in his class. Sometimes they mix it with other classes like second grade, or even fourth. I'm not sure. No, not fourth, but second grade. So it can go to maybe 17, 18 kids, but it's all very well taken care of.
Do you, as a parent, and do your children appreciate the smaller class sizes as opposed to a larger class size?
You know what? I think it's a mix. They love the fact that they're paying attention to them, right? So the more you can have the teacher available for you, or two teachers available for you to take care of things, I think it's always good. Maybe having larger classes will provide you with more possibilities to have more friends or more, different approaches to things. But so far, it's worked well for all of us. Like the kids are happy, we're happy. We don't see. When I was little, I used to study at, it was a private school, but we had 50 kids per class, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe I had more options. If I got into a fight with someone, I could go to someone else. But in their case, again, I think it's worked well.
What is the incorporation of the Mandarin language like? Is it blended into every single subject that the teachers teach the students, or is it like a particular subject at a designated time?
They work on the same subjects. Let's say that if they're talking today about the planets in English, they're talking in geography, they will be talking about the planets in Mandarin as well. So they kind of like try to have the same type of topics to make sure they're getting both languages in the same with math. So they have math in English and math in Mandarin. If they talk about any particular topic on social studies, they're doing the same type of topic on both languages. So they have the morning. Some mornings might be English and the afternoon Mandarin, or in the morning Mandarin and the afternoon English. So it all varies. But they've done an amazing job at that too. We were a little bit concerned at the very beginning if they will be able to cope with Mandarin. Again, we don't speak Mandarin. We've never been never exposed to the language, and just seeing them speak to other people who speak Mandarin. We had the opportunity to travel as well, and they were able to Taiwan, and they were able to speak the language there, and we were just surprised to see them. Even the people there were like, "Why are you speaking Mandarin?" So yeah, it's good.
So you've been pretty happy with the development of this language for them so
Oh
far?
yes, yes, yes. Both my husband and I thought like, well, if they go crazy, we just pull them out. But so far, so good.
Oh, that's great. That's really good to hear. That's extremely impressive too, that they could be so young and
Yeah,
speaking these languages. So good for them.
yeah,
But we've talked so much about such positive things about the school that I want to play devil's advocate for a moment. So if you were
of
to
course.
recognize like a weakness or an opportunity for growth and development, what do you think that might be?
I think it comes down to the campus, right? Like it's small campus. I think it's more in terms of infrastructure. But coming back to what we were discussing, it's a matter of we're getting a good return to for what we pay for as well. So if maybe we had a bigger campus, maybe the tuition will be bigger as well, right? But I do think that we were discussing about this with my husband because that was one of the questions that we thought was going to be asked, and it's hard to really think about a negative, but for me, if I had to mention one, it would be, yeah, the size of the campus, but on the other side they're trying to improve by bringing more activities and subjects to their curriculum. So I don't see that's really a negative in the end.
And before we wind down and I ask you my last couple questions, is there anything that I haven't asked you about the Dalton School that you feel is important to mention?
um I really I don't think so. I think you've covered pretty much everything. I think that if I had to, maybe, yeah, there's something important that I think it's cool in the way they approach education, and it's also the fact that they keep kids connected to reality. When you're in a private school and you have certain privileges as well, they might just get disconnected. So they do instill in them a lot of working, like charity work. They do they raise funds for endangered species. So it's kind of like letting them know, yes, you're here, but there are other people or other well, animals that need your attention, that there's something else to the world, just you and the bubble that we're in, right? So they've done they adopt a family in Christmas, for example. So the kids go and buy the supplies and the food and the things that they're going to give these families. They raised funds last year for second harvest, so they had to take a certain amount, raise a certain amount of money and provide a year of meals for two mothers and their children. So I think that's really beautiful that you're able to make them be thankful for what they have while also trying to help other people. And I don't know about other schools, but at least at the Dalton, that's something that's being done, and I think that's pretty cool.
And I think I know the answer to this question, but would you recommend the Dalton School to another parent who might be watching this video, and why or why not?
Yes, absolutely. Like I can't think of anything that really would make me say it's horrible. No, not at all. Like if the parents, if they decide to come into the Dodson School, I'm sure they're gonna find a beautiful environment for their kids to grow, not only to grow, of course, physically, but to grow mentally and spiritually. Like the way they approach things is is being proven to be great for our kids, and the way our family also things. The classes are small. They focus a lot on exploration, but also an independence, but also guide them towards finding, the results, or going towards objectives. So I think that's also pretty nice. And the last thing that I mentioned, they connect the kids to reality, and I think that also only helps create better citizens and humans for our society. So yes, totally recommend it. I'm really happy.
And for my very last question for you, if you were to pick up the phone and call your past self before embarking on this entire experience with the Dalton School, what would you tell yourself
About the school?
about the school and the overall experience?
Oh, just go for it. Hey, what are you waiting for? Why didn't you find it earlier? Yeah, it's just a go. Green light. Move forward.